Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Bao News Network, where we actually take a look at the economic recovery and we also take a look at the stimulus checks that are actually being distributed to the American people, as well as also the stimulus plan that is currently pending, the $1.9 trillion stimulus package, also known as the American Rescue Plan. And we actually want to highlight developments. So if you're new to this channel, please go ahead, like, share, subscribe, so we can actually get into it. So as we take a look at this American Rescue Plan by the Biden administration, we're actually seeing that there's quite a bit of opposition that is being felt currently in Congress, not only on the Democratic Party side, but also the Republican side. And they feel, particularly the GOP Republicans, feel that it should be targeted. They do agree, many of the Republicans do agree that it's almost a little too late at this point as far as sending out additional stimulus funds in order to keep the United States economy in good standing, hopefully so that we can actually see the light at the end of the tunnel as we move forward through this crisis that we're now facing, health crisis. The main issue here, of course, is whether $1,400 stimulus checks are going to be sent out in time to alleviate the situation with many of the renters across the country who are now facing dire straits as far as having overdue rents, backlogs. We are seeing developing reports on social media, Twitter, and different forms of social media where many of renters who are currently facing a situation with losing the roof over their head are in arrears to the tune of possibly 4 to 5 months. The typical renter, we're talking about a quarter of all renters in the United States are experiencing some type of financial struggle. And a typical renter, if we look at the cost per month, is somewhere around $1,150 per month rent, and they're in arrears possibly to the tune of 3 to 4 months. And if you add utilities, that would be another possibly $300, and then add additional late fees. So it is a cumulative effect, and a lot of renters want to know and ask the Biden administration what is actually going to happen as far as the moratorium on evictions. We do have a current fixed date as far as January 31st, and that's pretty much just a few days away. If there's an extension, to what extension it will be, and if there's an extension, where do we go from there? And it is going to be an ongoing cycle of anxiety and tribulation we're talking about a quarter of the renters out there. So luckily we do see that the federal government is putting funds as of January 20th to the tune of $25 billion, which seems like a small amount of money into rental assistance programs that are split over the 50 states. And if we take a closer look at this and examine it for the details and examine this rental assistance program in its entirety, we actually see that it's lacking. There most likely will be another infusion of rental assistance. And this funds will actually be split over the 50 states, and depending on whether you already have an eviction notice, depending on what your current income status is as far as a median income for your locality, and also they're looking to see, so as far as a pre-qualifier, whether how long you've been unemployed, and also your current state of income. So there's different criteria for qualifying. But when we take a look at the situation, we're actually taking a look at possibly the cumulative backlog of rent being to the tune of $55 billion to $75 billion. So $25 billion is probably going to expire pretty quickly once it's distributed to different states. Keep in mind the situation with economic relief for renters is not only impacting renters, but it's also impacting landlords. But this infusion seems quite limited compared to if we take a look at the PPP, which is a payroll protection program, paycheck protection program that was distributed to businesses in several rounds. In 2020 alone, over 500 billion was distributed to businesses. And there were many, many businesses who actually claimed money from this program, but actually returned it because they realized that they didn't need it. And this kind of starved off funding going to the mom and pop and the small businesses that really needed it. So there has to be a lot more oversight when it comes to the PPP distribution. We're actually looking at another 284 billion that would be distributed to businesses in the next few weeks also. So it is a major situation as far as economic relief, but it has to be targeted. But if we take a look at the 25 billion that is going to the everyday common people of the United States, and then we take a look at the PPP money, we're talking about a significantly larger amount of funds that has been dedicated to businesses, and quite a few of these businesses have actually admitted to not really needing the funds and returning it. So this is a major situation that we're actually looking at and we're following closely, because there will have to be additional infusion in order to protect the American economy at the ground level. And we're talking about everyday citizens of the United States, people who lost their jobs in May and April, who have been on unemployment compensation, who have gone through all tiers of the unemployment, only to have their last benefits expire on December 26th. Now, we do see that the Continued Assistance Act did go into effect on the 27th, but keep in mind that we do have the holiday of New Year's Eve, and we also have Martin Luther King holiday, and also the transition from one administration to another that has caused significant delays in allowing a lot of these states to get the guidance they need in order to know how to, and the protocols in order to distribute funds. If we were to go onto Twitter on any given day, we'd actually see a lot of people venting, trying to figure out exactly their funds. Their unemployment has expired with the last payment sometime in December. They have no idea when the funds are going to start being distributed for the Continued Assistance Act. They've gotten a lot of different mixed signals from their respective labor bureaus and workforce commissions as to when the funds will actually be getting out. Now, we have seen that quite a few states have actually started to distribute their funds to eligible claimants who have not expired their claims. So that has actually started, but states are now requiring additional time to actually get the funds out to those who have expired their claims. So the other issue that we need to take a look at is going to be restaurant bankruptcies. Now, in my personal opinion, we feel that the federal government has not extended enough rescue to the tens of thousands of restaurants that have actually closed across the country. And considering that the restaurant industry employs somewhere between 15 million and 16 million Americans across the nation, which is probably around 10% of all payroll jobs in the United States, this is a significant sector that has to be targeted separately as a separate rescue mission. I do know that the Biden administration wants to create a complete sort of a global rescue plan for the American people, but I don't think that the federal government really understands the severity of the impact of this pandemic on the restaurant industry. If we look at some of the recent filings for bankruptcy protection, such as CC's with almost 310 different operations locations across the country. We have Friendly's Restaurant, we have Ruby Tuesdays, we have Sizzler, we have California Pizza Kitchen. These are all different restaurant locations that are employing tens of thousands of employees who are now going into the process of possible layoff, even though some of these restaurants may continue operation while they negotiate with their debtors as far as how to repay under standard Chapter 11 bankruptcy. This is a major evolution or revolution in to the detriment of the restaurant industry. So the federal government actually needs to have a targeted rescue plan, specifically for the restaurant industry, just like they did for the airline industry. The restaurant industry employs a significant amount of employees across the United States, and not only do they have an impact as far as employees, but also the mom and pop businesses that support the restaurants along the way. Different restaurants buy different supplies from different wholesalers, and it has a ripple effect throughout the entire American economy, not only the employees themselves. We take a look at other chains such as Chuck E. Cheese, Dave and Buster's, Checkers Steak and Shake. These are all different restaurant chains that are on the edge, and they contribute a significant amount of employment opportunities for everyday Americans. Keep in mind too is that also not only distress to American citizens, but the restaurant industry has always been a lifeblood for immigrants who are coming to the United States, who are trying to find jobs as a stepping stone into living the American dream. And if the restaurant industry is gone, then not only is it going to impact it's going to impact the economy on three major levels. It's going to stifle job opportunities. It's all not only for Americans but also for newly immigrant vetted population in the United States, and also the mom and pop organizations and businesses, wholesalers of meats and different supplies for the restaurant industry. So this is going to be a major situation, and we're going to be tracking it here because we are concerned that if the American Rescue Plan doesn't go above and beyond where it needs to go, then we could easily see that once everything is said and done in a final say of things, a final straw, perhaps 50% of all restaurants in the United States will be gone when everything is said and done and we return to some normalcy. And this is going to have a significant impact on the economy. So if we actually take a look at a typical restaurant in the United States, typical restaurant probably hires about maybe 25 to 32 people, and then about 20% of those restaurants hire 50 people or more. So if you can actually see the ripple effect of actually losing a significant amount of these restaurants across the United States. Of course, many of these restaurants have resorted to actually modifying their menus to be more comfort food oriented. Many of these restaurants have actually modified their menus to actually be more to just simply survive. And this is at the detriment of the American economy, simply because once you start modifying menus, then there's going to be less profitability available for the respective restaurant to remain sustainable in the coming days. So this is definitely something that we need to take a closer look at. I do know with advances with technology such as Grubhub and Uber Eats, we do have access to delivery options, but we are missing the big picture beyond just delivery. Most people prefer in dining, and also keep in mind alcoholic beverages are served. People like to go out and have a nice glass of wine or a beer, and that contributes to the profitability. Those types of items on the menu are highly more profitable for any restaurant owner than the regular meals. The regular meals simply bring people in, But as far as beverages and liquor, that's where the profit is for most restaurants. So as we take a look at the economic relief going forward, it is something that we are really concerned about. We hope that the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan will be enough to keep us going. But as you can see with our newly nominated and newly sworn in Treasury Secretary, Ms. Janet Yellen, she has actually stipulated that the best way to go is for us to do a big rescue package so that it won't be too little too late for the American economy. As far as the discrepancy between the amount of funds that are available for everyday Americans for rental relief compared to PPP, there has to be a little bit more of an increase for the rental, because people need to have a shelter over their heads for their family, so that they can recoup and restructure their lives, so that they can go back into the workforce and start contributing back to the American economy. So that is actually what we're taking a look at here at Bow News Network. Please go ahead, like, share, and subscribe. And of course, the best thing you can do if you want to support the American economy is definitely to write to your local congressperson. Make sure that they understood exactly where you are and what your position is as far as a rescue package. They need to know directly from the American people how they're actually hurting and what has to be done in order to bring this great country back to its pre-pandemic days. So please go ahead, like, share, subscribe. We will continue to track the development with a stimulus package. We will continue to track the development with the unemployment system as far as distribution of the funds from the Continued Assistance Act that was passed by our former president, President Trump, on December 27th. So we will continue to monitor the situation with the distribution of funds from the Continued Assistance Act, and we will continue to watch all the different Twitter feeds to see how the different labor departments and all the different workforce commissions across the country are implementing the programming changes that are going to be necessary in order to follow the protocols and guidance of the United States Department of Labor going forward. Many states are actually saying that it will be until mid-February until they're actually going to be able to get funds distributed and weekly certifications processed for those who are among the millions who had their claims expire and their benefit year expire December 26, 2020. So we are looking at possibly mid-February, unfortunately to late February, mid-March for many states, while some states have actually started to distribute funds for the regular certified who have not expired for their benefit year, or whether they're in the tier of state eligibility or federal PEUC or the federal extended benefit. Many states are actually starting to distribute funds for them. But what is really alarming will be for the millions of others who had their benefits expire on December 26, 2020. So we'll definitely go ahead and continue to monitor the situation with the unemployment checks being distributed, the stimulus. We hope that the $1,400 stimulus checks will arrive on time. Our current President Biden has implemented through executive order different measures to try and make sure to remove any bottlenecks with this round of stimulus checks out to the American people. And it seems like more people will be will be eligible to receive these stimulus checks also. So we will continue here about News Network to continue to monitor the situation with the American economy, job relief, economic relief, job creation, and we'll bring the latest information to you Please go ahead, like, share, subscribe. Of course, share this video with friends and family who are interested in tracking the economy and seeing exactly where the American economy is going and what we all need to do on a personal level to try and ensure that we will have some type of economy to return to once the situation with the health crisis is over. So thank you for watching this video. I sincerely appreciate it here at Bao News Network. Thank you.